Good morning, everybody. So today I thought we would go and plant some cold crops in our garden over here that we just finished setting up. And yeah, and then maybe later we'll do some homemade pierogies. The other day we planted some cucumbers right down here. And so today we're going to companion plant some carrots in between. Companion planting is a really good way to keep away pests, and some crops do really well together. So we're going to companion plant some carrots around the cucumbers to start with. I'm going to plant these. They're bolero pelleted carrots. The seeds look like this. They're a lot easier to plant because they're pelleted. I do have some other ones too, but we're going to start with these. Okay, so I'm just going to make a row in between each of these. Let me get my garden pad here. So I'm just going to make a couple rows like this in between. And I'm just going to open the seeds. It's a little easier to space these out. Take my glove off here. This saves you having to thin out the carrots afterwards. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. Like that. And I'm just spacing them out like that. And then I'm just going to take my glove here, put it back on, and I'm going to cover them. So you just need to cover them lightly like this. And then water them, and that's it. It's quite easy to plant carrots. So I'm just going to finish the rest of these, and then we'll start on some other ones. With carrots, it's best to direct sow them rather than transplanting them. Carrots don't transplant well. Okay, so to start, I'm going to plant the cauliflower and the broccoli in these two beds here. And I'm going to, before I start planting, put some garden fertilizer and some eggshells into it. So we're just going to sprinkle a little bit, mix it into the dirt. Okay. These are some of the eggshells that we grinded up. Just gives the dirt some nutrients. I'm saving most of these for my tomatoes. Let's mix it up a bit. I was using organic vegetable fertilizer. Okay, so let's start with cauliflower first. How much do these say here? About 18 inches apart. So we'll probably be able to get 4 in each of these. They do get quite big foliage on them. Might be able to put one in the middle here, we'll see. I'm going to try and fit one here. I don't know if it's going to grow good. We'll see. There we go. And then I'm just going to plant this one in front right here, in front of this bed over here. I'm just going to plant peas on the end here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of these to it. Might have to add a broccoli plant here too. Okay. So I'm going to plant it on the front of it since this is going to be peas over here. There we go. Now we're going to do the same with the broccoli. I'm going to go plant this one right next to the cauliflower that we had extra. So next I figured we would plant radishes. I'm going to plant it in this narrow, thin pot because they don't root very far. So we'll plant them in this one. Mix up some of the dirt. So I planted some already from seed, and then I have seeds as well because these do root very, very fast. So what I'm doing is I'm just separating some of these plants. Bury some of these roots here because they are a little leggy. I didn't have strong enough grow lights this year. If you plant the stem when they're leggy like this, then it'll help fortify the plant better. Okay, so those are the plants. Now I'm just going to take some of these seeds and fill in some of the areas. Just going to put a few in each hole. for them to germinate really nicely. And then just cover. And I'll probably continue to plant these every 2 weeks, just so I have a continuous supply. Now I'm just getting ready to plant Yukon Gold potatoes. I'm actually removing the dirt so that I can layer the potatoes all the way from the bottom all the way up to the top. Hopefully I'll get more potatoes this way. It's an experiment. I cut these potatoes the night before so they had time to seal in. When you're cutting your potatoes, you want to do it a few days beforehand so the skin has a chance to harden so they don't get too many diseases. In this bed, I decided to plant some yellow storage onions. The ones that I grew myself didn't work out so great, so we used some onion sets this time. To recap, we planted broccoli, some cauliflower, planted some yellow onions here. I planted some broccoli and cauliflower, some onions, and some spinach in this. And then I'm going to plant peas right here, and they're going to climb up the fencing. Spinach and yellow onions in this one, and spinach and yellow onions in that one. And then we planted radish in this. Some more yellow onions in this one. Some Yukon Gold potatoes. Red onions. More red onions. And then in this big one here, we layered a whole bunch of Yukon potatoes in this one as well. Now that we're done planting and watering, we can go in the house and clean ourselves up a bit and start making some homemade pierogies. To start with, we're going to peel some russet potatoes. Get started on the pierogies here. So we just need to peel some for the filling. Hopefully I don't make too much filling this time. I usually make way too much filling. If I do end up making too much filling, we'll make like potato patties out of it or something. So we're going to be making, I'm going to make ground beef with onion and cheddar cheese and mashed potato for the filling. Might stick some green onions in there, we'll see. I'm just trying to keep them fairly uniform sizes so they cook all at the same time. I could use a potato peeler for this, but I prefer using a knife. I'm using russet potatoes just because they make the best kind of mashed potato. Oh, our ground beef is thawed. It makes a fluffier mashed potato. I do sometimes use Yukon Gold as well, but I prefer russet for this. Okay, I don't want to make too much filling, so I'm going to stop there. We're almost half, so I think that's good. Now we're just going to rinse them. Okay, so I'm just rinsing these in cold water, and it's to get rid of most of the starch on the potato and any of these little pieces that are on them. If you rinse the starch off the potatoes, they become more fluffy when you make mashed potato out of them. So I like to rinse a lot of the starch off. Makes it so your potatoes aren't gummy when you're mashing them anyways. Okay, I think that's good. So now we'll just pour them back into the pot. Fill it with hot water and we'll start to boil them. So we're going to just put those on to boil. I'm going to add some salt to the water for seasoning for the potatoes. It also stops them from going brown while they're cooking. Okay, let's see if the hamburger, yes. So we're going to take the ground beef and put it in here. Chop it up with my meat masher. This is for the filling for the pierogies. So we're going to fry up some ground beef. Just break it up here. I like to have not so big chunks so it's easier to put into the filling. So we'll just break that up as it's cooking. And as it's cooking, I'm going to add some of my pre-cut onions I have in the freezer here. Cook those. Then I'm going to add some garlic. It'll give the mixture some flavor. Add some pepper here. Some salt. Not too much salt. There we go. And then I'm going to add some garlic plus seasoning. This stuff is pretty good for seasoning. It's got a bunch of vegetables and garlic and stuff in it. It's really good. So we'll do that. We'll cook it all together. And we're going to add this to our mashed potato mixture once the potatoes are mashed. Okay, we'll just let that cook for a minute. Okay, so to start with the pierogi dough, I need 6 cups of flour. So we're going to put that in the bottom first. I'll give you a closer look here. Okay, this is number 4. 5. Ooh, I'm making a mess. And 6. And for this recipe, it just says to put all the ingredients in all at once. So we need 2 teaspoons of flour, or salt, sorry, not flour. There we go. And it says 2 cups of cold water. This is cold water. It says 2 eggs beaten. So I'm just going to get a container here for the eggs. Get a fork. We're just going to add that. And then I think we need some, it says either vegetable oil, canola oil. We're going to use some olive oil. So it says 6 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we just mix this together. See how long this takes to form a ball. Okay, so I'm just mixing this now until it forms a ball. And then we're going to continue mixing it for about 5 to 7 minutes so it breaks up the gluten and makes it nice and soft. See if we can incorporate some of this. I want a big ball here. I'm just pulling some of the flour away from the edges so it'll try and incorporate into the ball of dough here. Okay, so I'm just going to let this mix. Hopefully it'll form a ball here. Might need to add a little bit more oil. There we go, that's better. Sometimes you just know things by looking at the texture. So I'm going to let this mix for about 7 minutes and we'll be back and I'll show you the rest. Oh, that's nice. I can tell already this is going to be good. So it's been about 5 to 7 minutes. And let's shut this off. Okay. So let's take this off the hook. Ooh, okay. So this dough is really nice. I can feel the texture is really nice. So now in the recipe it says to let it rest for 30 minutes to an hour. So we're going to do that now. And then we'll come back and put the pierogies together. Our potatoes are done. So we can strain these so we can mash them. We're just going to mash those. Get my potato masher here. So I'm going to put some butter in this. I'm going to add a tiny bit of heavy cream to this. Just to give the potato a little bit of moisture. They're a little dry. Okay, I'm going to get a spoon. We'll actually use the spoon from our filling here. It's done cooking. I'm just going to mix up the cream here. Okay, now I'm going to add the filling. You can put whatever kind of filling you want in your pierogies. This is just what my family likes. I'm going to put some cheddar cheese in it. Mix it all together. So again, in this mixture, I have onions, garlic, ground beef, and now some cheddar cheese. You probably pour that whole thing in. And I'm going to add a little bit more salt and pepper to the mixture here. Mix the cheese in first. I made a lot of mixture again, we'll see. Might need to use it for something else. So I'm going to add some salt. We're flavoring the potato now. Some more pepper. I don't want to add too much because we did add some to the ground beef. But potato is very bland, so you do want quite a bit. I'm going to add some garlic powder. And that should be good for seasoning. Just mix it around. There we go. Now the mixture is ready to be put into the dough once it's done resting. I'm going to give you a close-up look of the filling. Looks delicious. This is what we're going to put into our dough. I've let our dough rest for a while now. So now I'm going to take it out. Oh, it's nice and soft. It's good. I'm just going to get a knife. And a cup full of flour here. So I'm just going to cut these into pieces. Just easier. My neighbor is mowing his lawn. I'm sorry if you can hear that in the background. I'm just cutting these into manageable pieces. Okay. Now, just getting a cookie cutter here. Let's go with something probably about that size. Actually, maybe a little bigger. Get my rolling pin here. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit down. It's quite a bit, actually. And now I'm going to just make it into more of a circle shape. The dough is very soft and pliable. It's perfect for this. Okay, now I'm going to take this, I'm going to cut out some shapes for pierogies. Oh. Okay, we'll start with this one. I'm going to get some egg wash. I'm going to use this to close up the edges. Okay. Okay, so let's just put that off to the side here. Okay, now we can start filling them. So from doing this for years now, one of the key things that I usually end up doing wrong is filling it with too much filling. And then it doesn't want to close properly. So try not to fill it with too much. Then just brush the edges so they stick nicely. And you can crimp them together any way you like. So I usually like, just one sec here, I'll give you a look. So I like to just crimp them together like this. Just like this. But if it's your preference to make them look a little bit more beautiful, that's completely up to you. And then that's it. There's a pierogi. Now I just repeat this process until we're done. I know that there's a lot of pierogies here, and I plan on having some for dinner, and then the rest of them I'm going to flash freeze on a pan and put them in the freezer. I'm going to pull out a pan and put some parchment paper on it, just for these to sit on. Doesn't have to look beautiful, just something for them to sit on. I do find it a bit easier if you roll it more lengthwise. Allows for more overlap for the filling, for it to close easier. I'm going to do it on one side, see if it closes a little better. Oh yeah, way better. That's much better. I know they have little machines where you can do this, and it pumps out a whole bunch of them at once, but I don't have one of those. I've always been taught to do it by hand like this. Make sure it's sealed really, really well, otherwise it'll come undone when you're cooking. Also, when you're rolling out the dough, you don't want it too thick, because after it cooks, it's unpleasant when you get a big chunk of dough. So try to make them fairly thin, but not so thin where they break. I will reuse these pieces at the end. Don't like wasting any of it, so we will reuse this. think for now, though, I'm going to cut out all the shapes first. Okay, so for the dough, all the scraps, we're just going to put it all together. Kind of knead it into another ball a little bit. And we're going to reuse it again until all of it's gone. Every last piece, so there's no food waste. I finished rolling and filling all the pierogi. We got 46 in total. And there's quite a bit of filling left over. I'll find a use for that. But for now we can get ready to start cooking them. So now I rinsed out the pot we had the filling in, and I'm going to boil some water so we can cook some of the pierogies in it. I'm salting the water. And then I'm going to put some onions and bacon. I'm going to chop up some bacon. Okay, I'm going to keep this part in the fridge and use it for something else. Put it in a little Ziploc here. I don't like putting meat in my reusable bags just because I don't want for some reason I just feel like it would be less clean and maybe stain. So we're going to take this, and now we're going to cook this with some onions on the stove. So I'm going to put the bacon in. I just started heating up the pan. I'm just going to separate some of the pieces so they cook a little nicer. This is my favorite way of cooking them. I like boiling them first and then putting them in a onion, bacon, and butter mixture. Tastes delicious. And then I top them with some sour cream and green onions or chives. There we go. I can hear it starting to heat up. Just wash my hands here. Okay. Now, these are some of the onions we had in the freezer. They're a little thawed from earlier, so I'm just going to take those, all of what we had there. Mix it up a bit. Let that cook for a minute. Oh, this is nice and heated up. So I'm going to start putting some of these in. Slowly. I'm going to give it a little stir with the spoon, just very lightly so they don't fall apart, but so they're floating and they're not sticking together. There we go. So I'm going to cook enough for everybody here. Okay, so I'm going to cook about 28 of them. That should be enough for everyone for dinner. Enough for about 7 of them for each person. If there's any left over, we'll just have them for lunch. I'm just going to cook down the water that was in the onions here. And then after this is all cooked down, we'll add some butter to it. So most of the water is all cooked off of this now. So now I'm going to add the rest of this butter. It looks like a lot, but it needs to be able to coat the pierogies. Almost like a sauce, I guess you could say. Get the bits off the bottom, the flavor. Sorry if you can hear my neighbor's lawnmower. Okay, so let's check on these. They're starting to float. They look good. We just want to make sure the dough is like 90% cooked, because we're only going to have them in here for a few minutes. That looks perfect. I'm going to separate them over onto the sides, just so I can put the pierogies in the middle. Okay, so these ones that are floating, let me just check. Yeah, they feel cooked. So we're going to drain them and put them in. I'm going to turn this down a little bit so they don't burn. Some of the stuff on top, just so they don't stick to the bottom. If they stick to the bottom, they might break open. So you want to make sure that that doesn't happen. Let them marinate in the butter and the bacon and the onion. So boiling them in the water only took 5 to 10 minutes, probably about 10 altogether. Some on the bottom that are still cooking here, so I'll leave those ones. You see, you got to be gentle. I almost broke that one because they're homemade. There you go. Turn that down a little bit. Have a couple more in here. The ones that are floating. When they float, it usually means that they're done. more in there. I'll give them a couple more minutes. I usually end up breaking at least a couple, so we're going to attempt not to, but... Oh, I broke one. There we go. Okay, these ones are floating now. We'll add them to the pan. Okay, that's all of them, so we'll shut the water off. Try to fold these in here. Just cover them with some of the bacon and the butter here. Oh, that one broke open. I'm going to take that one right out. This will be the one we taste test. Ooh, my green onions are a little sad. So I'm just going to cut up a little bit of green onion. Mix that. Sprinkle a little bit on. And take a little bit of sour cream. A little dollop of that. Now we'll taste test it. Hopefully it tastes delicious. The flavors are really good. The dough is like nice and thin, so it's not very thick and unpalatable. It is very good. So I hope you enjoyed the video today, and maybe try making this recipe, and I'll see you next time.